An American soldier discovered something strange on the ocean. He quickly called the captain over to check it out, but because the ship was so strange, the captain could only order the radio operator to contact the other side. But no matter how much Amy called, there was no response from them. David guessed this was the supply ship that was supposed to replace them, but the captain decisively pressed the alarm button and ordered the soldiers to prepare for battle. Although they were very confused, they still followed the orders without hesitation, adjusting the cannons. The four of them had been guarding this place for 3 years. They didn't want to miss this opportunity to leave. After a fierce internal debate, the captain decided to take a gamble. The captain took out his sidearm and ordered David to go alone to investigate. Even though he had a million F*****ku flying through his mind, he realized that there were only 4 of them. Amy was responsible for radio communication. Daniel was the only one who could provide long-range support, and aside from the captain, he figured only he could handle it. Reluctantly, he got in the speedboat. However, as the boat got closer, the supply ship became even stranger. There were no people on the deck, and even the hull was covered in rust. Clearly, the ship had been forgotten by history, becoming the feared ghost ship of legend.
Hello?
After surveying the area, David decided to board and check it out. After all, this was their only way out. After explaining the situation on the ship to the captain, he began searching the ship. Suddenly, static came through the radio. To stop it from making any more noise, David decisively turned off the radio. He nervously began to feel his way forward.
Anyone?
But when he entered the control room, he was stunned by the sight in front of him. The items here were scattered all over the place. Even the radio equipment was broken. What was even stranger was that the cups were covered in thick spider webs. Clearly, no one had lived here for a long time. He then slowly began to search the entire ship, but still found no trace of anyone. The supplies on the ship were neatly arranged. He then gathered his courage and broke open a room, only to find 4 sets of soldier gear on the floor. It was obvious this was their replacement team, but where had they gone? The strange happenings on the ship became even more bizarre. Meanwhile, the 3 teammates on the deck had no idea what was going on. The captain kept calling David over the radio, but received no response. He thought David might have met with misfortune. The captain reluctantly walked into the control room. To prevent the weapons from falling into enemy hands, he ordered Amy to hand over the launch keys. Since the cargo ship had already passed out of the range of the cannons, they needed to use nuclear weapons to destroy it, but it would take 2 keys to activate the command. Amy clearly disagreed with his plan, but in the face of military orders, she ultimately had no choice but to obey. With the captain inserting both keys, the launch code soon appeared on the computer. Just as he was about to input the password and attack, David suddenly emerged from his panic. He quickly notified the captain of the situation. After hearing his teammates' response, the others were finally able to relax. Upon receiving the captain's orders, David towed the supply ship back to the platform, but the captain put the keys away. Amy wanted them back, but was told that due to special circumstances, the ship needed to be investigated before they could be returned. Clearly, Amy was not happy with this arrangement. They conducted a full inspection of the ghost ship. The captain took off the navigation recorder and began researching the ship's course. A strange route was slowly charted. The other 2 were not idle either. After several days of overnight repairs, they finally managed to start the ship. David shared the good news with Amy, but after hearing they could finally go home, she didn't seem very excited. She even said the captain definitely wouldn't agree. And just as Amy predicted, while the 2 were immersed in their joy, the captain was already waiting on the ship. His expression showed no happiness. Instead, he ordered them to remove the engine parts. This sudden decision left the 2 of them confused. They didn't want to give up the opportunity to leave. David even suggested a democratic vote on whether to stay or go, but in the face of the captain's oppressive authority, the other 2 teammates chose silence. When they saw the sidearm on his waist, they didn't dare to resist any longer. The 3 didn't understand the captain's reasoning, but Amy could only comfort the other 2, and then went to the captain, hoping for an explanation. But the captain said their job was to protect the platform until the new team arrived. No one could leave this cursed place. Amy believed this would make them lose other team members, but the captain didn't think so. What they didn't know was that David and Daniel were plotting to take control of the deck. The 2 of them would leave this place no matter what. They were originally stationed here as US soldiers, but the sudden earthquake triggered a massive tsunami. Fortunately, the platform survived the disaster, but they lost all their food supplies. What was even scarier was that the platform suffered a slight reactor leak due to the shock. Amy suggested they use iodine baths every week to protect against radiation. The unbearable smell tormented the few of them, and what broke their spirits even more was that the supply ship had been delayed for months, leaving them to eat rotting food every day. Plus the communication system was broken. All they could do was wait. Now, they were finally going to leave this damn place. The team members definitely didn't want to miss this opportunity, but just as the 2 were discussing a mutiny, the captain came over with Amy. Out of old ties, he agreed to leave on the ship, but only for Daniel and David. Amy had to stay with him until the others arrived. David felt a chill run through him. He and Amy had already been sleeping together. How could he bear to leave her behind? David went to find his girlfriend, hoping she would leave with him secretly, but Amy insisted on staying because the platform needed at least 2 people to operate.
Don't you want to go home? You?
love you, Sullivan. If that's what you want to hear. You're a human necessity.
David no longer lingered. He angrily stormed out of the room. Meanwhile, the captain was still studying the sailing route, but the supply ship's trajectory was very strange. It ended up stopping just a few miles from the platform. This gave him a bad feeling. The captain went to the observation room, but when he saw Amy working hard, he hesitated to speak, then turned around and left the room. Just then, the platform alarm went off. They found another unidentified ship on the radar. Because the fog on the sea blocked their vision, the team had no choice but to follow the captain's orders and change direction.
Fire! Miss. Reload.
Since the distance was even greater this time, David suddenly realized something was wrong. He rushed down to check the dock. Sure enough, the supply ship was no longer there. That's right, the ship they had just aimed at was the supply ship. It seemed the captain had intentionally created this crisis to prevent them from leaving. He planned to have them destroy the ship without seeing it. When Daniel learned the truth, he immediately wanted to strike, but unexpectedly, he turned and saw the captain draw his handgun, yet he didn't back down. Instead, he stood ready to face him head-on, but the captain quickly threw a heavy punch. He then raised his gun again and aimed at Daniel. Without saying a word, he fired. Everyone was shocked by this scene. David had no choice but to open fire. With a loud roar, a dazzling spark erupted on the sea surface. Seeing the hope of returning destroyed, the bald man couldn't control his emotions anymore. He rushed toward the captain. At the last second, Amy decisively stepped in, temporarily stopping the tragedy. The three locked him in the storage room. The next day, David brought him food. He didn't understand why the captain had done this, but the captain said it was all unavoidable, because he had discovered through the navigation records that the supply ship had been anchored nearby for 3 months, but for some unknown reason, it had deviated from its course. Now, there was only one possibility. Someone had moved the lighthouse. The captain suspected there was a traitor among them, but no matter how he explained, David wouldn't believe his lies. However, the next morning, Daniel came in with his head hanging low. David sensed something was wrong. He quickly went to check the storage room, but found that the captain was already gone. It seemed he had escaped through the window, but in such a remote island, where could he have gone? David went to the captain's room and rummaged through his things, and accidentally found the sailing route chart he had made earlier. Upon seeing the coordinates on the map, he realized the captain's story might have been true. To understand why the ship appeared there, he would need to go and investigate firsthand. Amy volunteered for the task, but unexpectedly, Daniel also wanted to make up for his past mistakes. They left David on the platform, and the two of them rowed off in a small boat. Meanwhile, David wasn't idle. He wanted to catch a fish for his teammates, but what he pulled up was the captain's arm. When he saw the bullet hole in his forehead, the little black guy was completely stunned. He knew the captain must have been silenced by someone, and recalling Daniel's nervous behavior earlier, he figured the traitor could only be him. Later, in the archives, David discovered Daniel had a history of severe mental problems, but he had been recruited for his exceptional repair skills. Reading this, David shuddered. If the bald guy was the killer, then his girlfriend was probably in great danger. David quickly went to the platform to observe, and sure enough, the small boat returning only had one person. A bad feeling washed over him. He wanted to find a weapon, but when the returning person came into view, it was Amy. She tearfully explained Daniel's crimes, and finally avoided disaster. But David's expression was tense. He must have already suspected the truth, but wasn't willing to accept it. The next day, he checked Amy's storage locker, and learned that on the day the supply ship arrived, Amy was on duty. David's face went blank. He inserted both keys into the computer, and successfully obtained the nuclear weapon codes. Amy tried to stop him, but it was too late. As the self-destruct program was activated, Amy finally confessed the truth. It turned out she had used her position to secretly dismantle the platform's beacon, and led the supply ship away from the area. Then, pretending to be the duty soldier, she killed everyone on the ship when they were unprepared. She did it all to stay behind and seize the captain's keys, but she never got her hands on them. When she began to suspect herself, she secretly framed the captain for the whole thing. Amy thought once she eliminated him, she would be in control of everything, but she never imagined David had seen through it all. Now that the explosion was about to happen, she admitted her spy identity, and hoped for David's forgiveness, but a dramatic twist followed. The big explosion never occurred. The computer screen displayed strange garbled text. At that moment, they both realized that the so-called nuclear weapon didn't exist at all. The military's lies were just to confuse the enemy. Now, with only the two of them left on the platform, why not enjoy the feeling of being in love? And so, they began their life of happiness together.